Good morning and welcome to KidNuz. I'm Tori. Today is Monday, April 26, 2021. And we begin with the world's most celebrated gymnast kicking the world's largest athletic company to the curb. Over the weekend, Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles announced she's ditching her deal with Nike to partner with Athleta, which is a whole lot smaller but is run by women for women. Simone didn't give reasons for her decision other than to say Athleta is more aligned with her values, will allow her to have honest conversations with young female athletes, and is committed to diversity and inclusion of all backgrounds, ages, sizes, abilities, and races. It's also the second defection from Nike in less than a week. The estate of Kobe Bryant announced it was cutting ties with the company. Another day, another Mars milestone for ingenuity. Yesterday, it flew for the third time, faster and farther than the first two times. All told, it spent 80 seconds airborne and traveled about 330 feet at 4 times the speed of its last attempt. Earlier in the weekend, and a few million space miles away, more galactic history. Saturday, 4 SpaceX astronauts docked at the International Space Station after launching skyward on the first ever reused rocket and riding in the first ever reused capsule. For a few days, it'll be a bit crowded in the floating lab as the new team takes the handoff from a group of engineers who've been up there since November. Weather permitting, the outgoing astronauts will say their space goodbyes early Wednesday before making the 7.5-hour trip home, with splashdown off the Florida coast expected early in the afternoon. Good news for Americans eyeing a long-delayed trip across the pond. According to the New York Times, the European Union is about to open its doors to those fully vaccinated as early as this summer. The devil is in the details, though, and fully vaccinated may be the rub. According to federal statistics, nearly 5 million Americans who've gotten their first dose have skipped their second. Health experts are hoping that's where the single-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine will come into play. Despite some rare side effects, it was reapproved on Friday and was already in arms in several states by Sunday. One last COVID note, if you don't like wearing your mask outdoors, relief may be around the corner. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he expects the CDC to release new guidelines soon that will let us uncover when outside in fresh air. An additional field of solar panels, Mickey style. On Earth Day, Disney World announced it was upping the ante on reducing its carbon footprint. A bunch of new panels will power up within 2 years and ultimately cover nearly half of the resort's energy needs. This sun-fueled fleet joins the Magic Kingdom's clean energy plans for Disney locations in Paris, Hong Kong, Tokyo, and their private island in the Bahamas. According to the Disney Parks blog, the worldwide panels will produce enough energy to power the Magic Kingdom 8 times over. Disneyland in California is already panel-powered, and they'll be put back in use this Friday when the park reopens to guests for the first time in more than a year. If your name is Josh, there's a chance your pandemic boredom turned into some very fun park pandemonium this weekend. The planning began a year ago when college student Josh Swain messaged others who share his first name and challenged them to some old-fashioned dueling. The party had to wait until lockdowns were lifted, but it all came together Saturday at a randomly chosen spot in Lincoln, Nebraska. According to USA Today, hundreds of Joshes turned out for festivities that began with a grueling and righteous battle of rock, paper, scissors and an epic pool noodle brawl. Attendees also donated hundreds of pounds of food to a food bank and raised thousands for the Children's Hospital in Omaha. And if you get a chance tonight, look skyward. We're in for a full moon that looks larger and brighter than normal because it's at the point in its orbit where it's closer than normal, 222,000 miles away instead of 230,000. And while April's full moon is called a pink moon, it'll actually have an orange hue before turning white. That's it for KidNuz. Now our KidNuz quiz, generously sponsored today by the Bracco family of Alamo, California. Who just shook up the sports apparel world by switching from Nike to Athleta? Gymnast Simone Biles. How much faster did Ingenuity fly in its third flight? Four times as fast as it did the first two flights. According to Dr. Fauci, the CDC will soon release new rules about what? Wearing a mask outdoors. Who gathered at a park in Nebraska over the weekend? Hundreds of people named Josh. And one for the road. Rob Gronkowski made a heck of a catch over the weekend, and it wasn't even thrown by Tom Brady. The highlight reel reception was made at the University of Arizona, his alma mater, where he was an honorary coach for a spring game. Gronk doesn't do anything small, so along for the festivities came a helicopter that hovered over the stadium and dropped a ball from over 600 feet. The first two slipped through his hands, but the third was not only a clean catch, it was a record setter that lands him a spot in the Guinness Book. Before we go, it's time to shout out our KidNuz classrooms, starting with Ms. Crenshaw at Decula Elementary in Decula, Georgia, Mrs. Amy, her Eagles, and her class support pup Lilac at St. John's Lutheran in Stuttgart, Arkansas, Mrs. Dickinson at Spreckles in Salinas, California, Ms. Freeman at Father McMartin Memorial in Marceline, Missouri, and Mrs. Ruprecht and her junior Bulldogs at Painesville Area Elementary in Painesville, Minnesota. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we'll see you back here for more KidNuz tomorrow morning.